Hello beautiful souls, how are you? Today I'm talking about self-observation. Tell you all about it on the other side. Whilst I was talking with the emissaries the other day, I was telling them about, well, we were talking, and at the time, everybody in my immediate family was being sick, literally vomiting. And it hadn't hit me. It was one of those 24-hour bugs. I hadn't had it. And so I said to them, I'm staying strong. And they said, so I haven't had it, by the way, I didn't get it. Wahey, must be the black cumin seed oil. By the way, I did look. I saw something the other day, and I'm going to talk about this subject later on, but I saw on the list of how to deal with virus, right? They said either, I'll put a stroke in there, mectin. I don't know whether that's a dodgy, whether it's a flagged word. Either, stroke, mectin, right? But then it had underneath, if you can't get a hold of it, black cumin seed oil works just the same, right? And I was thinking, hey, I've been taking black cumin seed oil every day for about a year now, right? So no wonder I didn't get it. What I do each day, but this is completely to one side, I take bee pollen, right? Bee pollen, and I take black cumin seed oil. I take the bee pollen because it's really good as well. I mean, if you look at the benefits of bee pollen. So I take a little bit in my hand. I have the bee pollen first because it's not sweet. It's like bittersweet. But hey, it's sweeter than black cumin seed oil. And then I neck a bit of black cumin seed oil, mix it with the pollen, and it seems to be okay. I'm used to that now. Well, hey, I used to drink my own urine. So after that, anything is an improvement. Anything is an improvement. Anyway, getting back to the story. So I said, I'm staying strong. And the emissary said, so are we. And I was kind of thinking, that stands out. I said, do we need to be strong these days? And it says, yes, of course we do. We all need to be strong, them included. And I said, so how can we be strong? And they said, to be strong, the strength comes from the inner. We need inner strength, not external strength. It doesn't mean going to the gym, although definitely go to the gym or do some exercise. But that isn't going to create inner strength. You know, I've known some very muscly, very weak people who were very muscly. I'm talking about inner strength. So they said there are 3 ways to work on your inner strength. And they give me the list. They said working on your beliefs, meditating, and self-reflection. But then, look, I don't need to talk about meditation. I'm sure everybody who watches here knows all about it, are experts, probably better experts than what I am. Working on beliefs, we've talked about that before. But self-reflection, they kind of started to extrapolate that subject a bit, which I thought was really interesting, so I'm going to share it with you. So I said to them, how do we self-reflect? What do we do? And they said, self-reflection is the constant observing of one's own self, but you can't observe yourself all the time. That's that awareness, like constant awareness. It's difficult, right? Because shit happens, life happens, and we get caught up in things. But what they said is this: what we need to be observing is our reaction to external stimulus. And it's the reaction that we need to watch out for. It's the reaction that goes against who we believe ourselves to be. Okay? So they were talking about things like angry reactions, hysterical reactions, tearful reactions, all of those reactions that you think, where did that come from? Right? And it happened to me just recently. And it's interesting that they were talking about this. It happened to me just recently. And I reacted with my wife in such an extreme way that I was shocked. I was surprised. And so what I had to do was to do some reflection on that. Because I thought, where did that come from? Why did I react that way? And I had time to reflect because she stopped talking to me. Right? So there you are. This is always a good way to get somebody to self-reflect. Now you sit down on the naughty step and think about what you've done. Okay? So that's what she did. So I was reflecting on it. Now what the emissaries were saying was that the basis of all what we would call an abreaction, and that's what it is. It's something that you think, what? Yeah, it's outside of your control. The basis of every reaction is fear. Okay? We're scared of something. And so they said, all that you need to do when you have one of these reactions, and you know this word triggered, I was triggered. That's exactly what they're talking about. So if you find yourself triggered, you can try this. This is a self-reflection process. And they said, all you need to do is to ask yourself this one question. In that moment, what was I scared of? Okay? And now that's a scary question. Because what happens typically to us is that it's much easier for us to blame other people. And how many times have you heard this? Look what you made me do. Look what you made me say. Look how you made me feel. You make me feel terrible. You made me feel angry. Right? Why? Because that's just because we're shit scared about actually looking and asking ourselves, what was I scared of there? All of those reactions are fear-based reactions. Remember? Love or fear. Okay? And I'll tell you what happened to me when I was reflecting on that moment that I had, this explosion. I had to look at what was behind it. Right? Now, one of the things that happens when we're triggered is that that's not the first time. Right? Triggers don't happen the first time. Triggers happen when you have a lot of shit that's built up. Now in relationships that can happen. Something happens, another thing happens, another thing happens, and you're getting filled with this whatever, upset or whatever, and then you get the one action that's the straw that breaks the camel's back. Okay, so that's kind of how it happens. So another piece of advice is to talk things out as quickly as you can before you get to that stage. But when I analysed what happened to me, what I realised was there were two very big fears that I had at that moment. And that was what the basis was. Yes, I had a lot of build-up to it, but there were just two fears. Right? And it took me a good while to come to that realisation of I had to look at myself, think of that moment, and just ask yourself that question. What was I scared of? What was I scared of? There are different levels of fear as well. For example, I remember I used to get triggered a lot when people would, as the expression goes, take the piss. Okay? But what I mean by that is if somebody wasn't taking me seriously, that would really trigger me. You know, if I was maybe complaining about something or giving somebody some feedback about something very important and they were dismissing it, I would get really triggered. So when I analysed that, what I realised, well, I'd be thinking, hey, I don't like not being taken seriously. So that's a superficial one. That isn't really the fear. The fear was maybe I'm not good enough to be taken seriously. Maybe people don't take me seriously because I don't deserve to be taken seriously, right? So it's much more, the fear is always on a much deeper level, very base. And then that's why you have to look at your beliefs. What do I believe about myself? You know, am I enough? Am I valuable enough? So those triggers show often where your beliefs lie about who you truly are. Why do people shout and scream? Because they're hiding this lack. Right? Why was I shouting and screaming, I am not happy, blah, blah? Because I felt that the real me wasn't good enough to be taken seriously. Okay? So that's what we've got to do. It's kind of like peeling back. But why was I scared? What was I really scared of? And if you've got a superficial one, what does that mean? What would that mean if people weren't taking me seriously? What would that mean about me? By the way, all of your fears are always about you, okay? They always end up with you. Right? Even you could say, well, no, because I was triggered because I was scared for the life of my son, right? And you think, well, that's lovely. You see, I wasn't scared for me. I was scared for the life of my son. It's still fear for you. The fear of I might lose my son, okay? It's the fear is always about you. So that's a job that we've got, is to watch for when we're being triggered and just meditate on what was I scared of? What was the true fear? Once you've found it, once you realize it, it's almost like it breaks the trigger, it breaks the cycle. And you can do work on it. Once you get your fear, then you can work on the fear. You can do some EFT to get rid of that fear. You can do some havening. You can do some eye movement integration to get rid of that fear. Hypnosis, whatever. If it's a big fear, if it's a bad fear. And it's also, you can work on your beliefs as well. If you don't believe that you're enough, you could very easily get triggered an awful lot. And so it could lead to a lot of work, but much better a lot of work going on there with your inner strength than just spending your life being triggered and shouting. Hopefully by the time that I'm 120, all of that will be finished and I'll have done the work and I'll be able to die happily. I'm living till 120, but then after 100, I'm only living to 110 healthily, 10 years more, up to 120, just to piss people off, and then I'm going to go, okay? Unless some technology comes out and does something else, but that's just a rough plan, on the back of a fag packet, yeah? So, there you are. Inner strength. Work on your fears, and your triggers will stop, or at least they'll abate a little bit. I love you all, and I'll speak to you all later. Bye-bye.